we're finally here. The best books of 2020. I am so nervous and excited to do this. Hello everybody, welcome to the most mediocre channel on the internet. Not gonna lie, I am a tad bit late to this video, but I'd rather do it now than 6 months into 2021 when it becomes completely irrelevant. So yeah, speaking of the past year, 2020 has been, there were days that felt like eternity and some days felt like a year passed by in a second. And 2020 really made me realize the importance and how much I rely on books for hope, comfort, and escapism. And I don't know how I would have gotten through 2020 if not for the books on this list. I'm basically very thankful for these books and the authors who wrote them. Okay, that was a very long and sappy intro. Let's get into the best books of 2020, everybody. I'm going to quickly go through my runner-ups. I enjoyed them thoroughly. They were great books, but they didn't get into the top 10. Nevertheless, they deserve a little love and appreciation. So the first one is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. A great thriller book. I had so much fun reading it. And for a thriller book, it has such great social commentary. So if you're a beginner thriller reader or if you're looking to get into the genre, a great place to start. Next up is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I don't know how to say her first name. The Hate You Give is a YA contemporary novel about this girl who's starting out in rap. I don't remember the specific details about it, but I do remember that the main character, the protagonist, was very talented. She had great writing skills. Her rap was really good. And if you're into rap and stuff, even if you're not into rap, I'm pretty sure you will appreciate this book. Angie Thomas writes really good family dynamic and she also crafts really good characters. Next up is Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus series. They kind of go hand in hand, so I'm just like mentioning them together. I didn't put them in my top 10 because they were rereads. I reread Percy Jackson every 2 years around the summer time because of the immaculate summer camp vibes, and just Percy Jackson needs no introduction. Everyone knows it and everyone loves it. And the comfort of reading a story you already know the ending to is just the best comfort there is. If you're a beginner reader or if you want to encourage younger readers or if you're just looking for a great fantasy series to read, I would highly recommend Percy Jackson or anything that Rick Riordan writes. So those were my runner-ups. Let's get into the top 10, the creme de la creme. I don't even know what that means. As usual, we're going to do this the most mysterious and suspenseful way. We're going to go from my least favorite book to my most favorite book. Book number 10 is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Also, a disclaimer I'd like to mention, I really don't know what to say about books that I really love with my entire soul. So I'm just gonna tell you the demographic that would be perfect for said book. It's just funny how you could just rant on about books that you hate, but then when it comes to books you love, there's really not much to say besides book good, read it. So book number 10, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I love Elizabeth Acevedo and her writing style. I read all of her books and I would highly suggest you to pick up The Poet X and read your way through. So The Poet X is about Xiomara and how she finds herself and how she deals with her tumultuous relationship with her mom through slam poetry. It is absolutely stunning, and if you hate reading, perfect book because it's written in verse. There aren't many words on the page, so yeah, if you're intimidated by words, pick up this one. Great book. Next up, book number 9 is not a well-reputed book and also an unpopular opinion of mine. For the most part, the books on this list are like very well-reputed and I'm just voicing the opinions of a lot of other booktubers. But this one is solely and truly my own opinion and everybody hates it. So, book number 9, A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid. I don't get why people hate this book. It was such a great YA fantasy book. So, it's basically the second installment to A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid, which is the fairy tale retelling of, what's it called? Beauty and the Beast. And I really enjoyed the second installment. I think I read it when the pandemic hit, so that kind of boosted up my experience of this book. But yeah, give it a go. If you're just looking for a very chill, laid-back fantasy series, I would say read it. And the third installment of the series came out today, I think. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna pick it up very soon. I don't care about all the hate that this series is getting. It does not deserve it. I mean, if you really shut your brain off and read it, it's really not that bad. It's pretty enjoyable. I don't know what you're talking about. Next up, book number 8 is a book I would not recommend to anybody, and I'll tell you why in a second. So the book is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. So here's the thing with John Green's books. They cover an entire spectrum for me, an entire range. Some of them I really hate and some of them I really like. So this cheeky little book crawled its way onto this list. But if you're really itching to read a John Green book, I would highly recommend, if and only if you've gone through the trigger warnings and if you're okay with it. And why I would not recommend anyone is the reason why I wouldn't recommend this book to anyone is because it feels like you're stuck in between a panic attack. So I would do my research before I approach this book because it is very triggering. I will make sure to list the trigger warnings below, but if I don't, by any case, do your own research. Book number 7 is a hauntingly beautiful book. It is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. It is quite depressing, which is an ongoing theme in this video. You will see as we progress. I swear I'll read some happy books in 2021, but the list which I'm looking at right now is a great representation of how my year went. It's a pretty depressing ass list. So yeah, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado is a memoir. Did I say so? Did I just mention that? I think I just mentioned that. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado is Carmen Maria Machado's memoir, where she talks about her toxic relationship with her partner, her sapphic toxic relationship, sapphic to be underlined, because not many people talk about same-sex relationships being toxic, and this book does it so well. There were times when it felt like fiction. It did not feel like a real thing. Her writing was so enchanting and it really sucks you in spite of it not being very exciting or enticing. Like the plot, there's really not much of a plot, but it's just that the way she describes what she's going through, it's a beautifully haunting lyrical representation of the pain and confusion that comes with being in a toxic relationship and the entire environment that forms it and becomes it. So yeah, I don't know who I would really recommend this book to. It's quite depressing, like I already mentioned, but it's just a piece of art. If you're in the right mental state, if 2020 didn't really get you down, then I would highly suggest reading it, and trigger warnings will be mentioned below or on the screen. Next up is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. Mr. Swanson really knocked it out of the park with this book. This was the last book I read in 2020 and I couldn't have asked for a better ending. Absolutely perfect, just nerve-wracking, and I didn't see any of the plot twists coming. Did I mention that it's a thriller? It's a thriller. It's called The Kind Worth Killing. What did you expect? So yeah, so this man and woman meet in an airport, and this dude casually says that he wants to kill his wife, and the lady responds by saying, "Sure, I'll help you." Your everyday conversation. That's how it goes. The less I say about it, the better. So the reason why it's on this list is because of its characters. Thrillers normally have really stupid characters that do stupid shit, and that's how it becomes a thriller. But damn, the characters in this book are just so well crafted, and yeah, you should totally read it if you like thrillers. You're gonna have a great time. I can assure you that I do have other words in my vocabulary besides great, but I just cannot remember them at the moment. We're already at top 5. brace yourself. Next up is a book that I would not recommend to anybody, and specifically those who are looking to adopt or foster a child. This book absolutely terrified me, and it's been living in my head rent-free ever since the day I read it. It really got under my skin, and this is the book that made me hate and despise children. I don't find them cute in any way, shape, or form. The book I'm talking about is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. It's a psychological thriller. The only reason it's on this list is because it absolutely terrified the shit out of me, and not many books can do that. And I never thought I would be terrified and scared of a 6-year-old child. Lucinda Berry has accomplished that. If you're reading this book, you're reading it at your own risk. Don't say I didn't tell you. When I say it's scary, it is scary. And I emphasize that with my entire being. Next up, book number 4 is Becoming by Michelle Obama, the only happy book on this list. The only book that will get you out of a reading slump or any kind of slump if you just wake up and you stay in bed all day and the day just passes by and it's nighttime and you don't know how to fix your schedule. Read this book. I mean, it's not about fixing your schedule, it's about Michelle Obama, it's her memoir, but I think it helped. It helped me, and it will help you if you are just not okay, if you're not feeling good. I would recommend it for anyone who's looking for an uplifting book and a book that will help you get shit done. Again, it's not like a to-do self-help book, it's her memoir, but it will make you feel good from the inside. Why did I say it like that? Book number 3 is Know My Name, which is Chanel Miller's memoir. I have spent a lot of screen time talking about this book, but to summarize it, she basically talks about her rape trial and the vilification of victims and how archaic the justice system is, and she beautifully intertwines the political scenario of 2016, which is when the incident took place, into her story, and it was just so hauntingly written. I'm really looking forward to more of her work. This is her first book, and I hope it's not the last, and I hope that it's just not a one-time thing and she writes more. Yeah, so I would highly suggest for you to read the victim impact statement even if you don't read the book, because it's very eye-opening, and there's something I want to quote from the victim impact statement. Maybe that'll convince you to read it. So she says, yeah, I'll put it on the screen so that you could read it. Victims exist in a society that tells us our purpose is to be an inspiring story. But sometimes the best we can do is tell you we're still here, and that should be enough. Denying darkness does not bring anyone closer to the light. When you hear a story about rape, all the graphic and unsettling details, resist the instinct to turn away. Instead, look closer, because beneath the gore and the police reports is a whole beautiful person looking for ways to be in the world again. Chanel Miller. I hope that convinced you to read the book, or at least the victim impact statement. If you take away anything from this video, it should be this book and the next book. My top 2 favorite books of 2020 will come off as no surprise to anybody. They were the silver lining of my year, books that I will cherish with my heart and soul, books that I will reread in years to come, books that I adore, books that I would always keep recommending, and books that really stretch the limits of YA fantasy and storytelling. The books I'm talking about is obviously the Six of Crows duology. Crooked Kingdom takes the first place and Six of Crows takes the second place. But yeah, obviously you have to read Six of Crows first and then Crooked Kingdom. Great plot, great writing, great setting, great characters. I read it when I was kind of getting into a slump, and these characters really pulled me out of it. If you like fantasy and heist stories and just morally gray characters, then you will love the Six of Crows duology. Period. I have nothing else to say. So that's a wrap on my favorite books of 2020. I know they were dark and depressing, and I plan on changing that this year. I just want to give in to the pleasure of reading happy books without overthinking it. So if you do enjoy mediocre content like this, you might want to check out the polar opposite of this video, which is the worst books of 2020, where I discuss the worst books of 2020 that I read. I don't know why I'm explaining you that. I will link it below. Yeah, so if you're interested, be my guest. I hope to have an immaculate day as usual, and I will see you very soon in the next video where I talk about 21 books that I really want to read in 2021. Okay, bye. Let me know what your top 3 books of 2020 were. Give me a list, I want to check them out.